So whichever one is easier for you to simplify, that's what we're going to do. So on number 1, can I divide 3 by 16? No. So I can't simplify it how it's written. So I'm going to rewrite it as 2 separate square roots like number 2 is written. So I'm going to rewrite it as square root of 3 over square root of 16. All right. Is there a square root of 3? No. Is there a square root of 16? Yeah, what's the square root of 16? 4. Right. This breaks into 4 and 4, so I have a pair of 4s. So while I have to leave the square root of 3 alone, the bottom just becomes what? Just 4. Right? No more square root. And now that there's no square root left in the bottom, we're done. Remember yesterday we said we never want to leave a square root down here, right? So that's it. Okay? On number 2, is there a square root of 21? No perfect square root. Is there a square root of 3? Okay, so right now the way it's written, not helpful to us, right? So I'm going to rewrite it all underneath 1 square root like it was originally written on number 1. So I can rewrite this as all underneath 1 square root, 21 over 3. Can I divide 21 by 3? Yeah, I can do that. What do we get? So this just becomes square root of 7. And now there's no square root at the bottom, and I can't simplify 7, right? So that's it. I'm done. So if you can't simplify it the way that it's currently written, just rewrite it. All right? Okay, let's look at number 3. All right, so on number 3, we've got 8 square root of 48 over 4 square root of 2. Guys. So if I'm going to simplify this, then I'm probably going to go ahead and divide, right? I can divide the 8 and 4, but can I divide those? Is that going to give me anything the way it's currently written? Okay, so maybe we could try either simplifying it as it is, or we could try rewriting it all underneath 1 square root, right? But either way, I have to simplify that 48 somehow, right? So let's say we had that 48 that we want to break down. All right, so what multiplies to give us 48? Okay, that works. Okay. What multiplies to give me 6? Good. Okay, so I can't simplify 3 and 2, so I'm done there. What about 8? Good. So I've got a pair of 2's. What about that 4? 2 and 2. I got another pair there. All right, so I get to take out both of those pairs of 2's. What do I do with them since there's more than one pair? What is it? Times them. 2 times 2 would give us 4. And what else was already out there? So what do I do with the 4 and the 8? Times those 2. So we would end up with 32, right? 32 square root of 3, because we had that 3 left over without a pair, right? Okay. I can't simplify 2 to give me any pairs, right? So I'm going to leave that one as it is. All right. Now, I can divide 32 by 4, right? What is 32 divided by 4? 8. So, I'm going to have an 8 square root of 3, but what's still going to be left in the bottom even though the 4 is gone? The square root of 2. All right, so we have definitely simplified it a lot, right? It's a lot smaller numbers than what we started with. But am I allowed to leave a square root in the bottom? So yesterday, what did we say we can multiply it by to make it go away itself? But if I do it in the bottom of my fraction, got to do it in the top too, right? Okay. So I've got my 8, and then I've got my square roots. Remember, since they're both square roots, I can multiply them together, right? What's 3 times 2? 6. So underneath here, I got square root of 6. And in the bottom, I got square root of 2 times square root of 2, which is 4. And what's the square root of 4? So the bottom really just becomes 2. All right, so we did get rid of the square root in the bottom, but I can simplify these now, right? So what is 8 divided by 2? 4. So we end up with 4 square root of 6. All right. Okay, on number 4, one of these has a square root and one of them doesn't. So I can't divide them as they are. So we just need to get that square root out of the bottom. And how did we say we would do that? Times itself. Good. But if I do it in the bottom, gotta do it in the top. All right. So the 12 is not in a square root and the 2 is. So I can't actually multiply them, right? That's like 12 times x. We just write them side by side. So 12 square root of 2. And in the bottom, I have square root of 2 times square root of 2, which is square root of 4, and the square root of 4 is perfect, so it just becomes 2. Can we simplify anything now? Yeah, that 12 and 2 is going to give us perfect. So I'll have 6 square root of 2. All right. Okay, on number 5. Right now, they're both underneath one square root. Can I divide 3 by 7? Okay, so maybe we should rewrite it the other way. Remember I said we can rewrite it as 2 separate square roots. So like this. Okay. Now, is there a square root of 3? Is there a square root of 7? Okay. So the only thing we can do here is get rid of the square root in the bottom. And how do I do that? Times itself. Very good. And if I do it in the bottom, gotta do it in the top. Good. All right, so when we multiply in the top, what are we going to get? So I have square root of 21 over 49. And what's the square root of 49? 7. And can I break 21 down any? No, not to make any pairs. So there we go. All right, last one. So it's already written as 2 separate ones. I could rewrite it as 1, but can I divide 5 by 11? So that's not helpful either. So we just need to get the square root out of the bottom. And how are we going to do that? Times itself. All right, so in the numerator, what do we get? 55. So square root of 55. All right, and in the bottom, what do we have? And what is the square root of 121? 11. Right. Is there anything we could split that into?
No.
5 and 11, but is either that going to give us pairs?
No.
So that's it. We're done. So basically, when you're dividing, you're just simplifying. And make sure you never leave a square root down there in the bottom. All right?